12 evidence-based learning strategies for school success. Based on current cognitive science research, the strongest study strategies are not the ones that feel easiest in the moment. Reviews of the literature consistently find that students learn more when they actively retrieve information, space their practice over time, and use study methods that require effortful thinking rather than passive review. This guide presents 12 research-informed learning strategies drawn from Dunlosky et al., 2013, later meta-analytic work by Donahue and Hattie, and practitioner-facing summaries built from the same evidence base. For most students, the best place to start is with retrieval practice and space practice, then add the other strategies as needed for different subjects and tasks. Start here first. If a student only changes 2 habits, these should come first. Retrieval practice. Test yourself instead of only rereading. Space practice, study in shorter sessions spread across days and weeks instead of cramming. Dunlosky et al. Rated practice testing and distributed practice as high utility techniques, meaning they had the strongest combination of evidence and classroom usefulness in their review. A later meta-analysis of 10 learning techniques also ranked practice testing and distributed practice among the most effective overall. The 6 core strategies. 1. Retrieval practice, active recall. What it is, recalling information from memory without looking at notes, a textbook, or the answer key. Why it works. Retrieving information strengthens memory and improves the ability to access it later, a finding often described as the testing effect. How to use it. Cover notes and try to write or say what you remember. Use flashcards, but answer before flipping the card. Take practice tests without checking the answers first. Teach the material aloud to someone else or explain it to an empty room. Before reviewing a chapter, list everything you can remember from the last lesson. Evidence note, practice testing was identified as a high utility technique in Dunlosky et al. And remains one of the strongest strategies in later syntheses. 2. Spaced practice, distributed practice. What it is, spreading study sessions over time instead of doing all the studying in one long session. Why it works. Revisiting material after some forgetting has happened makes recall more effortful, and that extra effort strengthens long-term learning. How to use it. Review new material within a day of learning it, revisit it again a few days later, then about a week later, then again after a longer gap. Break large assignments into smaller study blocks across the week. Put quizzes, flashcard sessions, and review dates on a calendar instead of waiting till the night before. Evidence note. Distributed practice was also rated high utility and consistently shows strong effects across studies. 3. Interleaving. What it is. Mixing different topics, question types, or problem types within one study session instead of practicing only one type for a long block. Why it works. Interleaving helps learners notice differences between problem types and choose the right strategy instead of using the same method automatically. How to use it. Mix algebra, geometry, and word problems in the same practice session. Rotate among vocabulary, reading, and short self-quizzes during a study block. Return to a topic after working on something else instead of finishing every problem of one type at once. Important note, interleaving often feels harder and may produce more mistakes during practice, but that difficulty can lead to stronger long-term learning. 4. Elaboration. What it is. Asking how and why questions and answering them in your own words. Why it works. Elaboration helps connect new information to what a learner already knows, which supports deeper understanding and creates more ways to retrieve the idea later. How to use it. Ask, why is this true after reading a key idea? Ask, how does this connect to what I already learned after a lecture or reading? Compare a new idea to a real-life example or prior experience. Caution, this strategy works best when students have enough background knowledge to generate meaningful explanations. 5. Concrete examples. What it is. Using specific examples to understand an abstract idea or rule. Why it works. Concrete examples make abstract material easier to picture and compare, especially when several examples show the same underlying idea in different contexts. How to use it. find 2 or 3 real-world examples of a new concept. After learning a definition, explain it using an everyday situation. Compare examples that look different on the surface, but follow the same rule. 6. Dual coding. What it is. Combining words with useful visuals such as diagrams, timelines, flowcharts, or concept maps. Why it works. Presenting ideas in verbal and visual forms can strengthen understanding and memory by creating more than one route back to the information. How to use it. Turn notes into a simple diagram or concept map. Draw a process before explaining it in words. Pair a short written summary with a labeled visual. Important note, dual coding is not the same as teaching to learning styles. The research support is for combining representations, not matching instruction to a preferred style. Additional helpful strategies. 7 worked examples. What it is. Studying a fully solved model before trying a similar problem independently. Why it works. Worked examples reduce unnecessary mental load for beginners, so attention can focus on understanding the steps and logic. How to use it. Study a solved example and explain each step aloud. Compare 2 solved problems and identify what stays the same and what changes. Try a similar problem immediately after reviewing the example. 8. Self-explanation. What it is. Explaining how new information fits with existing knowledge or why each step in a solution makes sense. Why it works. Self-explanation encourages active processing instead of passive recognition. How to use it. Pause while reading and explain the main idea in your own words. While solving a problem, say why each step is necessary. Add short margin notes that explain connections across ideas. 9. Generation. What it is. Trying to answer a question or solve a problem before being shown the correct answer. Why it works. Attempting a response first can prepare the brain to learn more effectively from the correct explanation, even when the initial answer is wrong. How to use it. Predict an answer before reading the explanation. Try defining a term before looking it up. Attempt a problem before studying the worked example. 10. Chunking. What it is. Breaking large amounts of information into smaller, meaningful groups. Why it works. Grouping information reduces demands on working memory and makes details easier to organize and retrieve. How to use it. Group vocabulary by category or theme. Break a long process into short numbered stages. Use patterns, acronyms, or families of ideas to organize material. 11. PQ4R for reading. What it is. A structured reading routine. Preview, question, read, reflect, recite, review. Why it works. PQ4R improves reading by making students interact actively with the text, rather than passively moving their eyes across the page. How to use it. Preview. Skim headings, summaries, visuals, and bold terms. Question. Turn headings into questions you expect the text to answer. Read. Read actively to find those answers. Reflect. Pause and connect the ideas to prior knowledge. Recite. Summarize the key point aloud or from memory. Review. Return later and quiz yourself on the main ideas. 12. Metacognitive reflection. What it is. Monitoring how well learning is going and adjusting strategies when needed. Why it works. Reflection helps students notice when a strategy feels comfortable but is not producing durable learning, allowing them to switch to methods with stronger evidence. How to use it. After a quiz or test, write down which study methods actually helped. Ask, do I understand this well enough to explain it without my notes? Keep a simple study log showing what strategy was used, for what subject, and with what result. Strategies to use less often. Some common study habits are not useless, but they are much less effective than retrieval practice and space practice when used alone. Students often like these methods because they feel easy and familiar, but that feeling can create an illusion of learning. Strategy, rereading, limitation can increase familiarity without improving recall very much. Highlighting or underlining often stays too passive unless paired with questioning or summarizing. Rote memorization alone may produce short-term recall but weak long-term retention when not combined with meaning or retrieval. Cramming improves short-term performance more than long-term retention. Copying notes word for word can become transcription instead of thinking. Best uses at a glance. Retrieval practice. All subjects. Test yourself, don't just review. Spaced practice. Long-term retention. Study over time, not all at once. Interleaving. Problem solving and discrimination. Mix problem types and topics. Elaboration. Deep understanding. Ask how and why. Concrete examples. Abstract concepts. Make ideas specific and familiar. Dual coding. Complex or dense material. Combine words and visuals. Worked examples, math, science, technical tasks. Study a model before independent work. Self-explanation, reading, and problem solving. Explain each idea or step to yourself. Generation, new learning. Try first, then learn from feedback. Chunking. Memory-heavy material, group information meaningfully. PQ4R. Textbook reading. Read actively through a routine. Metacognitive reflection. Any subject, monitor what works, and adjust. Key research insights. Retrieval practice and space practice have the strongest and most consistent support across major reviews of learning techniques. Effective study often feels harder than ineffective study because the best strategies require active thinking and effortful recall. Students usually benefit most when they combine strategies such as spacing their study sessions, testing themselves, and explaining ideas in their own words. These strategies are useful across ages and subjects, though the exact mix should be adjusted for the task, the learner's prior knowledge, and the kind of material being studied. Final takeaway. School success depends less on studying longer and more on studying in ways that match how learning actually works. Students who replace passive review with self-testing, spacing, explanation, and active reading are more likely to remember what they learn and use it effectively later. If you found this video useful, please share it with someone you believe would benefit from it.